Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know many of us dream about that supercar experience, but the reality is those price tags can be pretty steep. The good news? You don't need to spend a fortune to get incredible driving thrills. Today I'm excited to share 10 cars that deliver amazing performance without the massive price tag. Some of these gems cost less than a new family car, but offer driving experiences that rival much more expensive machines. I think you'll be surprised by what's out there. Let's check them out. 1. Lotus 7. There's something deeply unsettling about stepping into a Lotus 7 for the first time. Your shoulders brush against the aluminum bodywork, your knees nearly kiss the dashboard, and you're suddenly aware that there's absolutely nothing between you and the road except a thin layer of fiberglass and some questionable British engineering from the 1950s. This is automotive purity distilled to its absolute essence. The Lotus 7 wasn't born from focus groups or marketing committees. Colin Chapman, the brilliant madman behind Lotus, had a simple philosophy: add lightness. When the 7 debuted in 1957, it weighed barely 1,100 pounds, less than a modern motorcycle. Chapman stripped away everything he considered unnecessary, which apparently included doors, a roof, proper weather protection, and any pretense of comfort. What remained was a skeletal space-frame chassis wrapped in bodywork so minimal it looks like it was designed by someone who'd never seen a car before. The original specifications were laughably modest: a tiny 40-horsepower Ford side-valve engine, barely enough to power a lawnmower by today's standards. But in a car that weighs less than a small boat, it was enough to deliver genuine thrills. The power-to-weight ratio was the secret sauce. While other manufacturers were adding more cylinders and bigger engines, Chapman realized that removing weight was far more effective than adding power. The chassis itself is a masterpiece of minimalist engineering. The space frame construction uses triangulated steel tubes to create a structure that's both incredibly rigid and remarkably light. Every component serves multiple purposes. The rear axle locates itself, the front suspension doubles as part of the structural framework, and the bodywork is stressed to add rigidity. It's engineering efficiency taken to its logical extreme. Driving a Lotus 7 is like mainlining pure automotive adrenaline. The steering is completely unfiltered, every pebble and road imperfection transmitted directly to your hands. There's no power steering, no stability control, no electronic nannies to save you from your own mistakes. The car responds to your inputs with an immediacy that modern vehicles simply cannot match. Think of something, and the 7 has already done it. The connection between driver and machine is so direct, it's almost telepathic. The seating position is pure race car, low, cramped, and purposeful. Your legs stretch out toward pedals that require genuine effort to operate. The gear lever falls perfectly to hand, short throw and mechanical in operation. Everything is within easy reach because everything is essentially within touching distance. You don't sit in a Lotus 7, you wear it like a mechanical suit. The suspension setup prioritizes handling above all else, which means every expansion joint feels like hitting a brick wall. But here's the revelation. After a few miles, you stop caring about comfort. The 7 doesn't coddle you, it educates you. It teaches you about weight transfer, about the physics of cornering, about what happens when you push a car to its absolute limits. Every corner becomes a physics lesson, every acceleration a masterclass in power delivery. Modern iterations keep the original's uncompromising philosophy while adding contemporary safety and performance. You can now get versions with motorcycle engines producing obscene amounts of power or more civilized variants with actual weather protection. But even the most refined 7 remains fundamentally raw, unfiltered, and utterly intoxicating. The Lotus 7 represents something increasingly rare: honest simplicity. In an era of 1,000-horsepower electric hypercars and SUVs that can park themselves, the 7 stands as a reminder that sometimes the best automotive experiences come from having less, not more. It's not just a car. It's a philosophy on wheels, a masterclass in the art of subtraction, and proof that the most profound experiences often come from the simplest things. 2. Lotus Elise. The Lotus Elise arrives like a revelation from another dimension, where engineers still remember that cars are supposed to be driven, not merely operated. At just 1,900 pounds, it weighs less than most modern compact cars, yet it delivers a driving experience so pure, so undiluted, that it makes million-dollar supercars feel numb and disconnected. This is Colin Chapman's philosophy of lightweight perfection taken to its modern conclusion, and it's absolutely extraordinary. When Romano Artioli commissioned the Elise in the 1990s, he challenged Lotus to create the ultimate lightweight sports car. The result was a machine that defied every automotive trend of its era. While other manufacturers were adding weight, complexity, and electronic systems, Lotus went the opposite direction. They created a car that weighed less than the original Mini Cooper, yet could embarrass Ferraris around a racetrack. The secret lies in the revolutionary bonded aluminum chassis, a piece of engineering so advanced it took years for competitors to catch up. This isn't traditional body-on-frame construction or even typical unibody design. The Elise's chassis is an extruded aluminum space frame, precisely engineered and bonded together with structural adhesives. The result is a structure that's incredibly rigid yet remarkably light, providing the perfect foundation for the Elise's telepathic handling characteristics. The body panels are hand-laid fiberglass, each one carefully crafted to minimize weight while maximizing aerodynamic efficiency. The doors are so light you can lift them with one finger, yet they're perfectly rigid when closed. The entire car feels like it was assembled by obsessive-compulsive engineers who weighed every bolt, every bracket, every component before deciding whether it deserved a place on the car. Power comes from a Toyota-sourced 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine, producing a modest 120 horsepower in base form. On paper, this seems laughably inadequate. Modern hot hatchbacks produce twice as much power. But here's where the Elise's genius reveals itself. Power-to-weight ratio matters more than raw horsepower. With barely 16 pounds per horsepower, the Elise accelerates with surprising urgency, reaching 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds. The real magic happens when you reach the first corner. The Elise's steering is completely unassisted, connected directly to the front wheels through a beautifully weighted rack and pinion system. Every input is amplified, every road surface change transmitted directly to your hands. The car responds to your thoughts before you've even moved the steering wheel. It's like having a direct neural connection to the road surface. The suspension is race car precise, using double wishbones at all four corners with carefully tuned geometry that maximizes tire contact patch while minimizing body roll. The ride is firm, uncompromising, and occasionally punishing over rough surfaces. But the payoff is handling so precise, so predictable, that you can place the car exactly where you want it with millimeter accuracy. The Elise demands your complete attention and rewards your skill accordingly. There's no stability control to save you from mistakes, no electronic systems to mask your deficiencies as a driver. The car is brutally honest about your abilities, but it's also incredibly forgiving at the limit. The progressive breakaway characteristics mean you can explore the Elise's capabilities without fear of sudden, catastrophic loss of control. Inside, the Elise is Spartanly functional. The seats are carved from foam and covered in simple cloth, yet they provide better support than most racing buckets. The dashboard is basic plastic, the switches are sourced from other manufacturers, and the overall fit and finish is utilitarian. But none of this matters because the Elise isn't about luxury or comfort. It's about pure, undiluted driving pleasure. The Lotus Elise represents the last of a dying breed. Cars built by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, where every decision prioritizes the driving experience over market research and focus groups. It's a reminder that sometimes the best automotive experiences come not from having more, but from having exactly what you need and nothing you don't. 3. Honda S2000. The Honda S2000 exists as proof that sometimes the most unlikely manufacturers create the most extraordinary machines. When Honda announced they were building a pure sports car to celebrate their 50th anniversary, few expected the engineering tour de force that emerged. This wasn't just another roadster. It was Honda's declaration that they could out-engineer anyone when it came to naturally aspirated perfection. At the heart of the S2000 lies one of the most remarkable engines ever created, the F20C. This 2.0-liter four-cylinder produces an astounding 240 horsepower, achieving 120 horsepower per liter without forced induction. To put this in perspective, This was hypercar territory in 1999. The engine screams to an impossible 9,000 RPM redline, a figure that would make motorcycle engines nervous. The sound it makes climbing toward redline is nothing short of intoxicating, a mechanical symphony that builds from a civilized purr to an absolutely savage wail. The secret to this engine's extraordinary output lies in Honda's obsessive attention to detail. The connecting rods are forged from premium steel, the pistons are lightweight yet incredibly strong, and the valve train uses Honda's legendary VTC system taken to its absolute extreme. At 6,000 RPM, VTC kicks in like a switch being flipped, completely transforming the engine's character. Below the changeover point, the S2000 feels almost docile. Above it, the car becomes a completely different animal. The transmission is a masterpiece of mechanical precision. The 6-speed manual features some of the shortest, most precise throws ever fitted to a production car. Each gear change feels like operating a precision instrument, with perfectly weighted action and absolutely no slop or play. The clutch is light yet perfectly progressive, making heel and toe downshifts an absolute joy. This is how manual transmissions should feel, and few cars before or since have matched its perfection. Honda's engineers achieved perfect 50-50 weight distribution through careful placement of every component. The battery lives in the trunk, the fuel tank sits directly behind the seats, and the engine is positioned as far back as possible. This wasn't marketing fluff, it was genuine engineering excellence that translates directly to the car's handling characteristics. The S2000 changes direction with supernatural precision, rotating around its center axis like a perfectly balanced top. The suspension uses double wishbones at all four corners, a setup typically reserved for much more expensive cars. The geometry is absolutely perfect, maintaining ideal camber angles throughout the suspension travel while providing feedback that borders on telepathic. The steering is quick, precise, and completely unfiltered. Every road surface change, every variation in grip level, every subtle shift in weight transfer is communicated directly to your hands. The S2000's reputation for challenging handling characteristics is somewhat overblown, but it demands respect. The car will forgive small mistakes, but it punishes ham-fisted inputs with sudden, dramatic oversteer. The short wheelbase and rear-biased weight distribution mean that lifting off the throttle mid-corner can provoke snap oversteer that catches inexperienced drivers off guard. But for those who understand the car's language, the S2000 is incredibly rewarding. The interior is typically Honda, functional, well-built, and utterly focused on the driving experience. The seats provide excellent support during spirited driving, the gauges are clearly visible, and every control falls naturally to hand. The digital instrument cluster displays engine speed prominently, encouraging you to explore the engine's incredible rev range. Production ended in 2009, making clean examples increasingly valuable. The S2000 represents the end of an era when manufacturers still built cars for pure driving pleasure rather than market research. It's a reminder that sometimes the best automotive experiences come from perfect execution of simple concepts. Lightweight construction, perfect balance, and an engine that rewards enthusiasm with mechanical poetry that reaches toward the heavens. 4. Zenith E10. The Zenith E10 emerged from the British countryside like a fever dream of automotive purity, created by engineers who believed that modern cars had lost their way. When former Lotus and Caterham personnel founded Zenith in 2012, they weren't interested in building another pretty roadster or comfortable Grand Tourer. They wanted to create something that would terrorize supercars on track days while costing less than a well-equipped family sedan. The E10 looks like it was designed by someone who studied aerospace engineering and decided that cars needed to be more like fighter jets. The bodywork is all carbon fiber, sculpted into aggressive, angular forms that prioritize function over conventional beauty. There's no attempt at elegance or sophistication here. This is pure, undiluted aggression made manifest in fiberglass and steel. The car squats low and wide, its stance suggesting coiled violence barely contained by 4 contact patches. At just 1,540 pounds, the E10 makes featherweight sports cars look portly. This isn't achieved through exotic materials or million-dollar manufacturing techniques. Instead, Zenus employed the time-honored British approach of simply not including anything unnecessary. There are no creature comforts, no sound deadening, no concessions to conventional automotive luxury. The interior consists of racing seats, a roll cage, and the essential controls needed to extract maximum performance from the chassis. The heart of the E10 is a Ford EcoBoost engine, the same turbocharged four-cylinder found in hot hatchbacks and family sedans. But in a car weighing less than a motorcycle, this modest power plant becomes a weapon of mass acceleration. The power-to-weight ratio approaches that of legitimate supercars, yet the engine can be serviced at any Ford dealership. It's brilliant in its simplicity and devastating in its effectiveness. The chassis is where Zenus truly demonstrated their expertise. The space frame construction uses steel tubes precisely welded and triangulated to create a structure that's both incredibly rigid and remarkably light. Every joint, every bracket, every mounting point has been optimized for maximum strength at minimum weight. The suspension uses double wishbones with track-focused geometry that prioritizes ultimate handling over ride comfort. Driving the E10 is like being strapped to a guided missile with delusions of being a sports car. The steering is completely unassisted, requiring genuine physical effort, but rewarding you with feedback so detailed you can feel individual stones on the road surface. The car responds to inputs with violent immediacy, changing direction with a savageness that makes modern supercars feel sluggish and disconnected. The E10 doesn't coddle its driver or make excuses for poor technique. Every input is amplified, every mistake punished with immediate consequences. The car demands complete attention and absolute commitment. Half-hearted driving results in half-hearted performance. But when you fully engage with the E10, it reveals capabilities that seem to defy physics. On track, the E10 is absolutely devastating. Its combination of lightweight, aerodynamic efficiency, and perfectly tuned suspension allows it to carry tremendous speed through corners while maintaining stability that borders on supernatural. The car generates genuine downforce at speed, pressing itself into the tarmac with increasing grip as velocity builds. The Zenus E10 represents everything that's been lost in modern automotive development: uncompromising focus, engineering purity, and complete dedication to the driving experience. It's a car built by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, where every decision prioritizes performance over profit margins. When Zenus ceased production in 2017, the automotive world lost something irreplaceable, a reminder that sometimes the best automotive experiences come from the most focused, uncompromising machines. This isn't a car for everyone, but for those who understand what driving is truly about, the E10 stands as proof that lightweight, focused engineering can still triumph over brute force and electronic wizardry. 5. Porsche 968. The Porsche 968 stands as the final chapter in one of automotive history's most remarkable engineering stories, representing the ultimate evolution of a platform that began with the humble 924 in the 1970s. When production ended in 1995, it marked the end of Porsche's front-engine, rear-wheel drive sports car era, making the 968 the last of its kind from Stuttgart. What emerged was a machine that combined 4 decades of refinement with engineering solutions so advanced they wouldn't look out of place in modern supercars. At the heart of the 968 lies Porsche's masterpiece, a 3.0-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that produces 240 horsepower. This might seem modest by today's standards, but this engine represents the absolute pinnacle of 4-cylinder development. It's the largest displacement 4-cylinder ever fitted to a production Porsche, and every component has been obsessively engineered for maximum efficiency and power output. The engine features Porsche's VarioCam system, one of the first production applications of variable valve timing, allowing the engine to produce strong torque at low RPMs while maintaining high RPM power delivery. The sound this engine makes is unlike anything else in the automotive world. It's neither the growl of a V8 nor the wail of a high-revving 4-cylinder, but something entirely unique. A mechanical symphony that builds from a cultured rumble to a genuinely aggressive roar as it approaches the 6,800 RPM redline. The engine pulls with surprising strength from 2,000 RPM, yet it encourages you to explore its full rev range with an eagerness that belies its large displacement. The 968's chassis represents the culmination of nearly 2 decades of development and refinement. The 50/50 weight distribution isn't marketing hyperbole. It's genuine engineering excellence achieved through careful placement of every component. The transaxle layout puts the transmission at the rear axle, connected to the engine via a torque tube that doubles as a structural member. This configuration creates perfect balance while providing a low center of gravity that enhances handling dynamics. The suspension system uses McPherson struts at the front with a multi-link setup at the rear, geometry that was advanced for its time and remains effective today. The steering is beautifully weighted, providing detailed feedback without being twitchy or nervous. The 968 changes direction with precision that modern sports cars struggle to match, yet it remains composed and predictable at the limit. What truly sets the 968 apart is its remarkable versatility. This is a car that can serve as a comfortable daily driver, capable of effortless highway cruising with excellent fuel economy. The interior is typically Porsche, well-built, logically laid out, and focused on the driver. The seats provide excellent support during spirited driving while remaining comfortable during long journeys. The build quality is exemplary, with materials and fit and finish that have aged gracefully over nearly 3 decades. But transform the 968 into track duty, and it reveals its true nature. The chassis balance is absolutely sublime, allowing precise throttle steering and encouraging increasingly aggressive driving techniques. The car rewards smooth inputs with extraordinary capability, yet it's forgiving enough to educate rather than punish developing drivers. The brakes are powerful and consistent. The transmission shifts with mechanical precision, and the entire package feels cohesive and purposeful. The 968 represents something increasingly rare in modern automotive landscape. A sports car that prioritizes driver engagement over raw performance numbers. It's a machine that teaches you about weight transfer, about the relationship between throttle and steering, about the pure joy of mechanical harmony. In an era of electronically controlled everything, the 968 remains analog, immediate, and utterly engaging. Today, the 968 stands as proof that sometimes the best automotive experiences come from perfect execution of fundamental principles rather than cutting-edge technology or overwhelming power.